Call the roll.
Councilmember Goebel is absent. All others are present.
Would you stand with me to recite the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing afterwards for a brief moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. As a reminder, unlike regular meetings, public comments at special meetings are only allowed on the specific items listed on the special meeting agenda. We called a special meeting to consider a closed session. Angela, do we have any speaker cards for the closed session?
No speaker card, sir.
I'd like to ask our city attorney then to please recite the title and lead us in the closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. The council will meet in closed session to discuss the item as listed on the agenda, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1, Berg versus the City of El Cajon. Thank you.
Make a motion then to adjourn to closed session. Second. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of those present.
We'll be back in a few minutes to conclude this meeting and start the next one. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back from closed session. I'd like to ask our city attorney to report on closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council met in closed session as listed on the agenda. Direction was given. No reportable action was taken.
This brings us to adjournment. The joint special meeting of the El Cajon City Council and El Cajon Housing Authority held this 10th day of February 2026 is adjourned. Thank you. Now that you're here, sure. I get so excited to get started. Council, you all ready? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the El Cajon City Council meeting. The meeting is called to order. I'd like to ask our city clerk to please call the roll.
All council members are present.
Thank you. Would you all please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing afterwards for a brief moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, the city clerk posted orders of adjournment of the January 27th, 2026 meeting and the agenda of the February 10th, 2026 meeting in accordance with state law, city council, and housing authority policy. There are no presentations on today's agenda, and that brings us to agenda changes. Staff, do you have any?
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, there's one agenda change I'd recommend. That's agenda item number 11. That's under your report, Mr. Mayor, called Update to City Council Assignments. We were following what we thought was Sandag's instructions, but they have told us that apparently we did it all wrong. So we'll bring it back in a corrected way at the next meeting. But in the meantime, it makes no sense to have that agenda item on.
Okay, that's great. Council, do you wish to pull any of the agenda items? No? Okay. I'd like to make a motion then to approve the agenda change brought by staff. Seth, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
We're now at consent items. Consent items are routine matters enacted by one motion according to the recommendation listed below. With the concurrence of the city council, a council member or person in attendance may request discussion of a consent item at this time. Council members, do you wish to pull any of the consent items? How about staff?
No, sir.
Angela, do we have any speaker cards under consent?
No speaker card, sir.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent items. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
That brings us to public comment. At this time, any person may address a matter within the jurisdiction of the City Council Housing Authority successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency that's not on the agenda. Comments relating to items on today's agenda are to be taken at the time that the item is heard. State law prohibits discussion or action on items not on the agenda. However, City Council and Housing Authority members may briefly respond to statements or questions, and an item may be placed on a future agenda. Angela, do we have speaker cards under public comment?
Yes, sir, we have 6 cards. The first one is from Eric Weber.
Hello, welcome.
My name is Eric Weber, and I have autism. More than 5 years ago, I had friends in Special Olympics who were cut out of sports due to COVID restrictions. Some ended up in psychiatric wards because their access to community and physical activity got cut off. A nonverbal athlete of mine almost died. I could go out and run, but many of my friends could not. At the time, many of them lived in group homes. I fought hard and did so successfully to get sports reopened and to help athletes who could not get the vaccinations due to reasons such as seizure disorder have a chance to compete in the 2022 Special Olympics USA Games. Today, I'm calling for El Cajon to cancel its pro-ICE resolution from last February. I am watching disability discrimination emerge in the most horrid form I have ever witnessed. This includes the violent mistreatment of Aaliyah Riemann, a woman with autism and traumatic brain injury. She was on her way to a medical appointment for her TBI. She was stopped by ICE because she is brown, and she was mocked more mercilessly, brutalized more viciously, denied accommodations, and detained in unspeakable, life-threatening conditions because she has disabilities. Now, Aaliyah Riemann is being slandered with the label agitator. Even ICE admitted in its data that 73% of detainees as of late 2025 have no criminal conviction, and only 5% have violent criminal convictions. Over 170 individuals who have been detained are U.S. citizens. Over 70,000 individuals are in ICE custody. In detention, people with disabilities are denied interpreters, mobility devices, medications, appropriate meals, and basic medical care. In October 2025, a 15-year-old with autism was detained. And in San Diego, in November 2025, a primary caregiver of a 17-year-old with autism was detained. This government is not going after the worst of the worst. It is targeting people who are living peacefully and who are trying to provide for themselves and their families. People of color, people with disabilities, the elderly, and children are being attacked by government-sponsored terrorists who hide behind neck gaiters, violate the Constitution, and kidnap the most vulnerable among us. Jesus tells us to love our neighbors and to protect the oppressed, marginalized, and vulnerable. Matthew 25, verse 40 says, "Truly, I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you have done for me."
Next speaker, Noel Becchetti.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. First, Gary, I'd like to welcome you to your first day of council service as a member of the San Diego County Democratic Party. Thank you for your courage in stepping up and following through on your convictions. So I'd like to read a brief scripture. This is from the book of Leviticus, chapter 19, 33 and 34 from the New International Version. When an alien lives with you in your land, do not mistreat him. The alien living with you must be treated as one of your native born. Love him as yourself, for you were aliens in Egypt. I am the Lord your God. So in these verses, it seems pretty clear that God has a specific perspective on those aliens, strangers, newcomers who are among us and how we're to treat them. And actually, I know of at least 22 other scriptures that refer to God's care and concern for the immigrant and the newcomer. And I can also find at least 20 scriptures where God describes his passion and care for the poor and the oppressed. So what I'd like to do, just with a few seconds, is I'd like to pray for this city. I'd like to pray for you, our elected leaders. And especially for those of us in the room who would self-identify as Christ followers or evangelical Christians, I just hope that we will remember Jesus' admonition, those who have ears to hear, let them hear. So Lord Jesus, I do pray for the city of El Cajon, for this community and all the residents living in it. And I pray for our elected leaders who are before us. I pray that you will give them a clear sense of your concern and how you look at people in a community and your concern for them, and especially for those among us and our elected leaders who would self-identify and declare themselves as evangelical Christians, that you would make your priorities and your perspective and your truth very clear to them and give them guidance in how to make the best decisions to make El Cajon a safer community. And as it says in Amos chapter 5, I just pray that justice would indeed roll down like a mighty water here in the city of El Cajon. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Thank you.
Next speaker, Ray Justice.
Well, sir, welcome.
My name is Ray Justice. I moved here in El Cajon, 16 years old, and I've lived here ever since. I've raised my 6 children through the school district here in El Cajon, and I have owned 4 houses on Chase Avenue, and through the years, as anybody knows of El Cajon, that Chase Avenue has become almost like a freeway. And I really would like to see the city to kindly step in and help the people that live on Chase Avenue of being able to get in their car and drop and back out. I've spent quite a bit of money redoing my places on Chase, and we got some things on the drawing board to relieve that. But one thing that's come out to me real clear is that Chase Avenue is getting like a freeway. And the biggest thing that I can see, the danger and the hazardous of the accidents that are happening, is because there's too much parking on Chase Avenue. One side of Chase Avenue is closed off because they closed off all those streets. And on the other side, all those people in apartments that coming out, they got to get out there on Chase Avenue. So one thing I'd like for the city to consider is to remove the parking from Lincoln down to Mollison on the one side. The other side is vacant already, so they can't park there and park. But I know myself and my children all backed out on that street, and it's 10 times worse now than it was. But I would like to see some consideration for those that is like myself has spent considerable capital in improving those houses that I got. They are all first-class houses now, and at one time they need a lot of work, and I've got that done. And I'd like for the city to consider of removing the parking on those people, poor people on Chase Avenue that has to back out of that car at that driveway to get on the street. And that I'd appreciate any cooperation that the city can do, and if there's anything that I can do to help to make the city better, I'm all for it. And I hope that the city would give us some consideration. I had my wife's grandmother was killed in front of one of those houses because she was deaf, but she walked right out in front of the car, and it took her. But there's been, I don't know how many accidents has happened on front of those front of my houses. But one thing that is for sure, that it's going to get worse. And the only thing I can see that it can be helpful is to remove some of that parking where people come out they cannot see because of parked cars.
Sir,
Thank
hold on one sec. Graham, have we been looking at this? I know we're looking at a lot of different intersections.
I know we're looking at a lot of engineering strategies to slow down the traffic on Chase because it is a very busy street. We're tackling Washington right now. We can add this to the list. We can add it. We'll analyze removing the parking. I mean, there's some big unintended consequences by doing so, so we'll have to analyze that. But we can look at that, and we can get back with this resident.
Yeah, sir, just so you know, we agree with you. One of our priorities this year in setting our goals for this year was to try to find some ways to mitigate the reckless driving and the traffic violations that we've seen in El Cajon. We're all very concerned about it, and bear with us while we try to figure out how to fix it. But if you would leave your name and phone number with the clerk, we'll keep you informed as to when we're going to be discussing it at council and what changes are being made.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. I appreciate you bringing it to our attention.
Next speaker is Colleen Girardi.
Good afternoon. My name is Colleen Garrity, and I also want to congratulate Gary Kendrick for his courage in becoming a Democrat and rejecting the Republican unconstitutional activity that's going on in El Cajon. This morning I watched the House Committee on Homeland Security. There was a hearing. The witnesses were Homeland Security officials, and it was very interesting. They were in complete denial about the inhumanity and harm that the administration's policies and ICE activity are doing in our country. And I have to say that I think that 3 of you on this council are in the same denial. You talk about safety in El Cajon, where we all want to be safe, but helping ICE or being willing to help ICE pick up brown people and autistic people, we didn't even know about that, most of us, off the streets and put them in detention centers is just inhumane. It's not American. So I also call for you to overturn your decision to reject SB 54 and to help ICE pick up our community, our immigrants, our citizens, our friends and neighbors. I also visited the Otay Mesa Detention Center a couple of weeks ago. I'm guessing that El Cajon residents are detained there, and it's a heartbreaking experience. I wasn't inside the center, of course, but I stood outside, and we used bullhorns to call to the people inside, and they responded. They called back. It was really a heartbreaking moment to hear their voices in there and know that they're being detained under inhumane conditions. So again, congratulations to Gary. Thank you, Michelle, for your humanity. And I don't understand what the rest of you are thinking, but I'm sure as politicians you have seen our numbers increase on the streets every week. The protests, the rallies in El Cajon are growing. That's not good news for you in November. So.
Next speaker is Rin Corbet.
Good evening. My name is Rin Corbet, and I'd like to commend Councilman Kendrick for his principled decision to stand against the remnants of what was once a legitimate political party, but is now sadly nothing but an empty shell. The GOP is no longer grand or even a party. It is a cabal of confused and misled people led by a cruel and narcissistic bully who is rapidly losing his support as he loses his mind. The sad fact that the El Cajon City Council has voted to support the Department of Homeland Security's Immigration and Customs Enforcement acting in our community is shameful and harmful. The reports of the department itself show that 83% of the persons detained without due process and incarcerated have no criminal record. The immigration crisis is actually a crisis of our government, failing its citizens and destroying our democracy. Thank you, Councilman Gary Kendrick, for standing for the people. Thank you.
Steph Cajon.
Good afternoon, and I'm happy to be here today in the spirit of gratitude. And I first want to say, as a third-generation El Cajonian, how proud I am of the best parts of El Cajon. And one of them comes with a very personal story because of the social services that are provided here. And I know those don't come without challenges, but at the same time, it creates a safe haven for the most vulnerable. I have a dear family member, a young adult, who was diagnosed a couple of years ago with a very serious mental illness. She ended up having to stay 3 months in a locked mental health rehab facility longer than her care team felt that she should have to stay because they couldn't find a bed for her in a care facility to release her to. And when they did, it was here in El Cajon, and my heart soared. I was so happy. Then I went online and I saw complaints, like reviews, and I saw complaints, and I realized, okay, it's challenges. And I went there, and it's like, oh, it's dilapidated, it's under-resourced, clearly. But the staff were golden. They really looked out after her, from the kitchen staff to the cleaning staff to the manager. When there was one incident where there was a little bit of an issue, the manager was so skillful at helping to de-escalate the situation. And I'm happy to say now that this individual is now living independently and doing well. So thank you for everything you do, and please continue to support the social services here in El Cajon, and not put obstacles, but find solutions. And then, in the spirit of gratitude, again, I do want to say thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Gary, for listening to the community and listening to facts and standing strong in the face of opposition. And, this country is founded by dissent, and dissent continues to need to be heard and respected. So thank you very much.
Last speaker is Andrew Lower.
Good afternoon. I'm here on behalf of people who ride bikes. I don't care about what ICE is doing. I don't care that you're a Democrat. In fact, actually, hold on, so that you listen to me. I'm one of your people. So I was here about 6 months ago talking about putting paint on the road, very cheap, share the road on Greenfield. Mitchell was going to be on it. That didn't happen. So now I'm back, and I've come up with a solution. Still cheap, still paint on the road, very cheap. It's not purple paint like 2nd Street. It's just going to be white. During Mayor Wells's State of the City address, he mentioned that he wants to reduce speeding, and I think this goes well perfectly with that. The road should spell share the road with a bicycle symbol on every street parallel to a school. So if you're talking Greenfield Elementary is the one I commonly ride past, there's a lot of cars parked because there's a nice park, it's a great basketball court, big baseball field, but there's no share the road, and there's a school there, and kids are forced to go on the sidewalk, dodging other kids that are, walking, and the cars are just zooming past because, that's how things are. This is cost effective in that the road paint is white, not purple like 2nd Street, as stated earlier. White is way cheaper. Also, when parents who make up a large population see it when they drive by, the image of the bicycle and being slow is etched in their mind. With this, when they see a bike, they slow without even realizing it. And how often do we see bikes? Well, we got kids and crackheads on bikes. With approximately, and I did a poll, approximately 200 votes cast in an El Cajon group page on Facebook, 67% of voters said they see public drug use more than 8 times a week. That's at least once a day in El Cajon. Now, where people would see despair, I see opportunity. These are once or more per times a week. A crackhead sighting will cause a chain reaction of mass slowdowns because they're seeing the picture of the bike on the road saying share the road, and they're seeing the crackhead and they're saying, okay, slow down, or they see a kid and they see slow down. I mean, it's a win-win-win for everybody. I made up, when they smoke speed, we take heed. This one's more El Cajon specific. When the vagrant cracks the whip, down the street, we slow down the whip, okay? That's a reference to a car. So that's what I got. I hope you guys got the gist of it. Every street where it parallels a school should be share the road because kids ride bikes, and that's easy. It's about as easy as it can get. Any questions?
Thanks. Thanks for coming.
All right, have a good day.
Okay.
No more speaker cards, sir.
Okay. We have 3 administrative reports on today's agenda. Item 7 is a project update on 405 is it East Lexington tenant improvements. I'll ask staff to introduce the item. Hi, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, and staff. I'm Sinan Kachi with the city's Development Services Department, Engineering Services. Item 7 before you today is a project update for the improvements at 405 East Lexington Avenue. So this property was acquired by the city in early 2024 and is located at the corner of Avocado Avenue and Lexington Avenue. Staff is working on behalf of the tenant, the Chaldean Community Council, or the CCC, which operates social services on the ground floor and the business incubator on the second floor. After the City Council adopted the project in August of 2025, staff quickly hired an architect to begin analyzing that building. The city's architect completed its initial review and study of the building this past December. So the ARPA, or American Rescue Plan Act, allocation for this project is $563,000, and the council incorporated an additional $25,000 for engineering staff time. After we reduce the architect fee, approximately $488,000 remains available for construction. The necessary improvements to the building include roof replacement, 6 new HVAC units, correction of unpermitted work, general ADA improvements, plumbing, electrical, remodeling of all the restrooms to become ADA compliant, and finishes such as flooring, ceilings, doors, cabinetry, all on the second floor. The architect's report included a detailed cost estimate, which is shown on this slide. We're at $1.07 million for the improvements that are needed for the building. Just below that, we've separated the required improvements to the building into 2 categories. The HVAC and roof replacement is estimated at $377,000, and essentially the remainder of the building requires $692,000. So at this time, one option for the council to consider is directing staff to proceed with a competitive bid for the roof and HVAC only. Due to the time-sensitive funding, staff would like to increase the likelihood of receiving bids below the current budget and still leaving a construction contingency available. So staff recognizes the importance of the remaining improvements. However, proceeding with the limited scope now ensures timely spending of those ARPA funds. So after we acquired the city's architect, the design process began in October of last year and should conclude by this April. We need to solicit construction bids by the spring in order to award a construction contract by the summer and begin construction. So this would allow completion of construction and all ARPA funds expended by our deadline of December 31st, 2026. So with that, I have staff's recommendation, and I'll hand it off to Mr. Mitchell for some comments as well.
Thank you. Mayor, members of the council, before we get into staff's recommendation, it's premature to start talking about what the next steps are until we really get a bid. So we didn't want to go that deep into the conversation, so we're going to keep it at this level. But we recognize that once we do have a bid and we know what that shortfall is, if there's a shortfall, what are some ways that we can mitigate that shortfall, whether we pull money out of the general fund reserve to make the improvements, whether we contemplate getting a tenant that pays rent that can then reimburse us for those costs, or at some point, the council may want to consider selling the building. So those are kind of the range of options. It's too premature to look at that. We also have a lease agreement. That's a 5-year lease agreement, so we have to contemplate that issue. So we'll start doing some analysis as engineering is focusing on bids. Staff at the city manager's office will start analyzing what are some next steps. So anyways, I just give you kind of a preview of some issues that you're going to have to think about at some point, but it's premature to start having that conversation today. So with that, staff would recommend that we do focus on going out to bid on those specific improvements. We'll create a bid document that can stretch larger if the roofing and the HVAC is lower than we thought. And ready from that, or with that, staff's here to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, Phil?
Thank you for the report. When do we've already allocated the ARPA funding for this, but when is the deadline to spend that money?
But by the end of this calendar year.
End of 2026?
Yeah.
Okay, so the summer construction deadline will give us a good amount of time for those to happen. Okay. And then are we going out to bid for the totality of the list of the capital improvements that need to be done to the building, or is it just the HVAC and roof? Do we know?
That's kind of the direction we're looking for today. At this time, we'd like to resolve all the issues at the building, so that would be that full list that reaches the over 1 million mark. But we can sort of get creative with how we put that bid out to the public and reduce scope pending how the numbers come in.
Okay. But it seems like the priority at this point in staff's eyes is HVAC and roof.
Those are some of the critical infrastructure failing or failed at the building.
Yeah, okay.
So we want to prioritize those.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Angela, do we have any speaker cards?
No speaker card, sir.
Okay, I'd like to bring it back to council for discussion. Steve?
We want to make sure that we don't forfeit any ARPA funds. I think at the end of the 30 million, we did forfeit 187,000. This time, it would be good to make sure we have a backup list of projects that might even fall under your authority so that they can be done quickly. Because even if we take a little bit out of general fund, we just don't want to forfeit any more funds. So let's have that backup list of little things you could knock off to use them all up.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we should go out to bid for more than we think we should, have that list, and be ready to utilize all the ARPA funds. And staff has been historically great with maximizing the funds to the best of our ability and not letting any of it go to waste. And I think that's a great use. So I would say also I'd be okay with you dipping into our general fund reserve to cover some of the stuff. I know ADA was on there. Maybe we maybe come up with a list of things that we could knock out that are small that we could dip into the general fund reserve so we can not disrupt tenants. So we're not under perpetual construction for that building. You know, the shortfall looked like it was around $500,000. We were able to buy the building with ARPA funds, so $500,000 for a building that the city is able to utilize for public use now, community use, I think is a very small price to pay. So I think we're sitting okay here.
Bill?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I agree with Councilmember Goebel and Ortiz. I think we need to put a little bit of money into this to make sure that we don't lose money from the feds.
I think this is an excellent time to revisit the reason we bought this building and the money that we spent on it. And I think that I don't think that we should be taking any money out of the general fund. We have been trying to tighten our belts. I tried to tell you that this was going to be a money pit, and we should have never bought this building in the first place. So I think that if we are going to use these ARPA funds, use them up, get the roof fixed, the HVAC fixed, find another small project to take the remainder of the money and go forward with changing either the tenant or selling the building. This is something that we should have never gotten into, and I'm not going to approve taking any more funds out of our general fund, because if we're asking the public to tighten their belts, we need to tighten our belt and not take money out of our general fund.
I just point of clarification. How much of this money is general fund?
Thus far, no general fund money has been expended.
I didn't think so. No general fund money. So
We took 1.9 million out of our general fund to make our budget balance. I don't think we need to take any more money out of our general fund.
Just curious what that has to do with this project.
Well, if we can't, we've allocated a little over $500,000 from ARPA money for the improvements. We thought that was going to cover, but it looks like it's close. It's over $1 million. So, if we get bids and there's still a shortfall, that shortfall would have to come from the general fund if you wanted to complete those in a traditional way. But there may be some other non-traditional ways to accomplish that.
Okay. Steve?
I think what I started, if you've got $60,000 left over and you have an $80,000 project, take $20,000 of the general fund, don't forfeit the 60 and get that $80,000 project done. See where I'm going with that?
Yeah, what we'll do is, so we'll bid this project by bits, right? So as contractors come in, they'll put in a price for X, for the roof, for the HVAC, and we'll go down the list. Let's say we get to the bottom of the list and there's some low-hanging fruit. We can bring that back and say, hey, we can get the whole thing funded with ARPA money, but we need to dip into the reserves for this. We'll give you that option if you, when that time comes.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a big dip into general fund, just a little bit to get that last little bit of leftover money, so to speak.
Correct. I mean, you could do a big dip or you could do a small dip, right? We'll give you the option of whether you want to spend $500,000 out of the general fund to do it all, or if you want to spend $20,000 to finish out the ADA improvements, for example. So,
And we're talking about general fund reserve, right?
correct.
Reserves. Okay.
Okay, any more discussion? Would somebody like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to receive the report on 405 Lexington Avenue, tenant improvements, the project update, and to authorize staff to continue just with the design phase of 405 Lexington. Yeah, that's it.
Is there a second?
A second. To clarify, it's more than design, it's getting ready to go to bid?
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion on the table. It's been seconded. Please vote.
Motion carries by a 4-1 vote with Deputy Mayor Metchell voting no.
The last administrative report, item 9, is regarding the Permanent Local Housing Allocation Program Subcommittee.
Sir,
Oh,
we have
I'm
item 8.
missing.
Item 8.
I'm missing item 8, which has that great word that I have to say. Okay. Item 8 is regarding the United States, semi-quincentennial. Semi-quincentennial. I'll ask the city manager to introduce that item. I've never said that word before.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I've never typed that word before, so if we get my presentation up, that'd be great. Thank you. As you know, the United States turns 250 years old this July 4th in recognition of the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1776. And we we're maybe a little bit late to the game, but some of our neighboring cities are starting to talk about what they would like to see occur in sometime out throughout this year. The President of the United States has called on all communities to do special things throughout the year, looking at some of the larger cities in the United States. Boston, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C. are doing some really interesting, fun things. These are really big events that have access to Smithsonian's, which we don't have, so I'm not suggesting we do some of those things. But there's been a call to do just something special to commemorate our country's 250th anniversary. So staff is just seeking some thoughts that the council may want to do for this upcoming year. We don't have money specifically set aside in the budget for this, so whatever we decide, there will be some sort of a budget contemplation. We're preparing the mid-year budget right now, so this is a good time to do it. Staff put together maybe just some ideas to get the brainstorming going, but one would just to be build on existing events and market those existing events as America's 250th celebration using the official logo for that. For example, the 4th of July fireworks at Kennedy Park. We would do the same event. Maybe we would augment some of the activities around it, but we wouldn't really add financial cost to that event. The thought of partnering with local businesses where we would have something that we could give to the businesses then to pass out to our community. So Mr. Goebel had the idea of perhaps a yard flag. So we would purchase yard flags, and if you would go to Business X, you could go purchase something there, buy dinner there, and in exchange you would get a yard sign that you could then put up in your yard to celebrate the anniversary of the United States. Decals on vehicles. I know some cities are contemplating that. City funding a mural on private buildings, street banners, perhaps an El Cajon website that focuses on something historic about the city of El Cajon, but somehow connect it to the anniversary of the United States. That would take some staff time, so I would have to figure out how to accomplish that. And then any other ideas that the council may have. So we're kind of here to get any suggestions that you have, and if there's any budgetary issues, then we should add those into our mid-year budget. So, which our finance department is really glad to hear that I'm throwing this at the last minute to them. So with that, council, your thoughts.
Questions for Graham. I have a question. America on Main Street, are we doing that this year?
No, it's not in the budget. That was one of the things that were cut to balance the budget.
So you mentioned the 4th of July fireworks. To me, that makes a lot of sense of combining something that we're already doing, and 4th of July seems like a perfect time for that. How do you envision that happening?
I think we would market it as, so we'd have the event as we usually would, but we would market it as an event to celebrate America's 250th. Perhaps we bring some entertainment out that we've never really done before, maybe just augment it a little bit, but not significantly. We already have a contract for the fireworks show, so it would be hard to change that at this point. So that's what we're thinking, just something a little more special.
Well, I like that.
In the marketing of it.
I like that idea. Any more questions for Graham or Gary?
Yeah, one thing I like about murals is that they can go on for years and years, so it's a big bang for the buck. Although I am concerned about the cost, maybe we could talk to the art department at Grossmont College or San Diego State and make sure that we cover it with a graffiti-resistant finish. But, I've seen murals in my travels around the world, and some of them are really beautiful, and I look forward to seeing them.
Yeah, I would worry. The cost, not as much. I think you can get a mural cheaper than you think. I'm actually worried more about the content, especially with divided communities. We would probably want to give some parameters of what we would want to see and what we would not want to see in a mural, and you'd want some say on what was included in that mural. So that would be one of the things I would be thinking about from a city protection perspective.
Okay. Are there any speaker cards on this item?
No speaker card, sir.
All right, I'll bring it back to council for discussion. Steve?
What I'm thinking in my head is a budget between $10,000 and $20,000, something that would pay for things that are visual, from Fletcher Hills to Granite Hills, from Horizon Hills to Mollison Hills, if we can call that. I was so close, so close. Something citywide, whether you have bunting on city property, whether you have, we already have the street banner brackets on light poles that we use for Jimmy Johnson type stuff, and we could just put new banners on there. Banners and bunting, I think, are low-cost signage kind of things that just are a little extra without being too expensive. The thought of having something as simple as a 4x6 flag on a little stick that people could pick up for free through local businesses, from Fletcher Hills to Granite Hills, from Horizon Hills to Michelle's house. This is something that the chamber could help us with in distributing through businesses throughout El Cajon, from all those places up and down in the valley. So I've seen realtors do those. They place them on a street with a business card. I wouldn't suggest we put business cards on them. But they look really nice when a realtor goes through and does a neighborhood. And there would be no purchase required for this kind of a thing. We're just trying to help local businesses by driving people into their local business to get a free flag to put in their yard if they'd like to. And the chamber, I think, could be an excellent outsourcing of that kind of effort.
I agree with you. I think that's a great idea.
I like all the ideas presented, and of course, this is all budget constraints, which is unfortunate. But I think if we can enhance existing events, I think that's a great scope. I guess my idea that I was thinking is when I think of the 4th of July, I think of like block parties, and maybe we could facilitate people on their street doing block parties and just kind of promoting that and saying, hey, buying maybe a couple extra barriers and streamlining the process for the 4th of July for, a handful of residents to say, hey, we're having a block party on the 4th of July, and we make it extraordinarily easy for them to block off the street from, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock, 2 hours. That way you get out, you hang out with your neighbors, you meet them maybe for the first time, you throw a couple dogs on the barbecue and play some music and sit out on your driveway and just kind of hang out. Maybe facilitating that. And I like Steve's idea, something visible. Local businesses, local nonprofits. Maybe we reach out to our partners with the Indian tribes. I know they like sponsoring events. And then the other idea that I had is engaging New City America, Downtown Business Partners. Maybe they have an idea that they could throw some money at in the downtown promenade area for the concerts, that they do. Maybe do something special there. So, but yeah, the block party and our Downtown Business Partners, New City America. That would be my ideas. Yeah.
Michelle?
I'd like to see things kind of go on. I like the ideas everyone has. I would like to see kind of some smaller events or smaller attention, and not just on 4th of July, because many of us dog owners have to stay home in our houses because the fireworks you can't medicate every single dog. And that's a worry for a lot of people who have horses and animals. So it would be nice to be able to participate in city activities that don't include fireworks.
Okay. Any more discussion? Somebody like to make a motion?
I think it'd be helpful to have some direction on budget, and we can bring that back as part of the midterm. I heard 10 to 20,000. If council's okay with that, we can put a $20,000 allocation, and we'll come back with a game plan of what $20,000 could get you.
I'm comfortable with that, with the caveat that if it's just not feasible, that you feel comfortable enough to come back and say, this is what a realistic budget would look like.
Yep, we can do that.
Yeah, I would say estimate our ideas, estimate how much that would cost for the ideas that were presented, and then we'd come up with a plan for that. Yeah,
we can do that. And just two other things. One, the other East County city managers and us have been talking about promoting each other's activities. So if La Mesa's doing their Flag Day event as part of this 250th anniversary, we would promote that in our community, and they would do the same thing for our event. So we talked about that cross-promotion, that cross-marketing. And then related to the block party, there's actually a movement, and I don't know if it's through the Smithsonian or it's through somebody, but it's called America's Potluck. It's actually scheduled to be on July 5th, so a non-firework day, Ms. Mitchell, and it's encouraging neighborhoods to get together and have potlucks or to get together and just get to know each other. And you can actually register your specific potluck with this national registry and get on the list. So it's kind of a fun thing. We can explore that if we want to include that as part of our marketing.
Excuse me, Mayor, we did receive a couple speaker cards. Would you consider accepting them?
Sure. We're happy to do that.
The first one is from Colleen Girardi.
Ma'am, why don't you come up and speak in the microphone? We can't hear you.
something that involves no cost at all, and that would be to invite the high school marching bands to take part. You know, I'm sure the kids would love it, and it's a way of bringing more youth into the celebration.
It's funny you mentioned that.
Look to the schools for other ideas.
It's funny you mentioned that because I thought it would be fun to have an old-fashioned John Philip Sousa type band concert. That'd be cheap, free, and nostalgic.
I mean, it's summer, so some of the students won't be there, but I'll bet many of them would enjoy participating.
It's a good idea.
The last speaker is Rin Corbet.
I think this is a great idea. Thank you. I'm just a little concerned about the logistics. Is the population of El Cajon approximately 40% Hispanic, or some large number?
I think it's much lower than that.
I think it's
So I'm just
20 to
wondering if
30.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, if you intend this to be a popular event, invite the entire community, brown people, black people, people who speak Spanish, will you have ICE agents there, or will they be welcome to come out freely and not without worrying about being incarcerated?
I thought they would have a float.
I'm sorry?
I thought they'd have a float or something.
They're going to have a float?
I'm joking because it's kind of a ludicrous suggestion. No, it's a community event to celebrate America. So
You really think, and you're joking, I understand, you really think they're going to feel comfortable coming when they know they're going to be arrested and deported? Thank you.
Sir, the last speaker card is Jeff Mansour.
Hey, Jeff.
Hello, City Council. It's Jeff Mansour. This is a wonderful idea. I wasn't planning to speak about this, but this is amazing. If we can do something 250 years, I like Mr. Mitchell's idea of contacting business owners and be able to partner this to fund it. If you guys have issues funding it, I believe I could personally guarantee we can get at least 20 stores, business owners, that will donate at least $1,000 to the cause, so it'll help you with the budget. I mean, we can keep it simple. It doesn't have to be just, I think, a lot of banners and flags and, you know, things of that nature. I know our community is very patriotic, and this is a great time to do it, and I think the Chaldean community will love it.
Well, congratulations. You just become chairman of the committee, and you'll be sworn in right after council. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I think that was the last card.
I appreciate that. Thanks. Okay. Graham, did you need anything else besides?
This is great direction and feedback. We'll come back with some more details.
Can we add the band, the high school band idea too? Yeah.
We did, just so you know.
Okay, great.
It sounds easy. It's not easy getting a high school band. They usually have their schedules already booked out. We will give it a good college or high school try, but it's not as easy as it sounds.
All right, thank you.
Because I'm a band nerd, there are also local wind ensembles made up of adults that might be more easy to bring in and be very excited to have a place to go play. Okay. Let's move on to the last administrative report, item 9, regarding the Permanent Local Housing Allocation Program Subcommittee. The city manager will tell us all about this item.
Hello, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. The city currently has about $700,000 in available permanent local housing allocation funds, or PLHA funds, that are to be specifically used for housing homeless for the next 2 years. These funds have typically been used for housing navigation, for shelter, and navigation centers, and we currently have a notice of funding that's out on the street right now. We have a feeling that a lot of the interests that we've been talking to may come in with very different, accomplishing the same goal, but with very different looks and feels about how to accomplish that goal. And it's, in our evaluation, will almost be starting to get into some policy discussion and how we evaluate them and how we present them to the council. One option is there's three options. One is we just do what we normally do. We give it our best effort of what we think is the best bang for the buck, and we present that to the city council. The other option would be to create an ad hoc city council committee so we can get some feedback, some thought process of the city council from at least two of you, and then that would be presented as a full recommendation from staff, but with council input. The third option is we have no recommendation, and we just really give the council, here's all the things that we saw, here's the pros, here's the cons, and let you guys hammer that out in public. I would actually recommend we don't do the third option. I think it becomes pretty messy, and you don't want to be interviewing applicants on during public comment. So, but it is an option. It's a way that some cities actually do the process. I don't think it's clean. I don't think you get a good product in the end. Staff thinks that kind of a hybrid approach is getting some city council members involved with the ad hoc committee where they would be working with staff to help evaluate the proposals. So with that, staff's really here to take any direction from the council. If you want to go the traditional route and just trust staff and what we present, we can do that. Or if you want to form an ad hoc committee, if that's the route you want to go, staff's here to take any answer any questions about that. But if that's the route you want to go, appointing two members to serve on that ad hoc committee would be useful at this time.
Okay, I appreciate that. Questions from the council before I ask for speaker cards? All right, speaker cards.
No speaker cards.
No, I personally like the idea of choosing two people to be on a subcommittee. If anybody, well, first off, if the council agrees with that, then I'd be looking for volunteers for that. Any? Let me put it this way. Any objections to that? Any volunteers? Michelle? Anybody else?
I'll do it.
Okay. There you go. Easy as can be. All right. Graham, do you need anything else?
No, thank you.
All right. Commissioner reports. There are no commissioner reports on today's agenda. Item 10 is my activities report, which is as reported. Item 11 is an update to the City Council assignments. And all of the assignments, well, we're pulling this item, yes.
Correct, we're pulling this item.
Because Sandag did not appreciate the way you dealt with it. So
Apparently not.
Apparently
I
not.
failed.
We'll do it better next time. Okay. That we're out activities reports for Councilmember Goebel.
As reported.
Councilmember Kendrick.
As reported.
Deputy Mayor Metchel.
As reported.
And Councilmember Ortiz.
As reported.
Thank you. There are no joint council member reports, no general information items on today's agenda. Item 16 is the introduction of an ordinance to amend the El Cajon Municipal Code, Chapter 8.33. And I'd like to ask our staff to come and tell us about that. Hello, Noah. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Noah Alvey, Deputy Director for the Community Development Division of the Engineering Services, Development Services Department. Again, we are here today to talk about tobacco licensing. So for background purposes, currently the municipal code does include penalties for selling tobacco to minors. It includes a monetary fine of $2,500 for a violation. It does include a 60-day suspension and fine for a second violation, and then a 120-day suspension and fine for a third violation. And then finally, it does require revocation of the license for a fourth violation, and that's within a 36-month period. So here you can see total violations going back to 2016. So 2020 was the last policy update by council. And so what you can see is since that time, violations had been trending down, but they did increase from 5 violations in 2024 and then increasing to 13 in 2025. So this slide just breaks down the data just a little bit further. It shows the number of first, second, and third violations, again noting the increase from 2024 to 2025 in violations. So what we're talking about today was directed by the City Council on October 28th of 2025, and the Council at that time discussed increasing penalties for tobacco retailers that sell to minors. So what was discussed at that time was to add a 5-day suspension period with a first violation, to increase the suspension period for a second violation from 60 days to 90 days, and then to increase the suspension period for a third violation from 120 days to 150 days, And then lastly, to increase the 36-month violation period or violation monitoring period to 48 months. So if the council would like to move forward with this, this is the first ordinance reading. So what we would be asking is that council introduce the ordinance and direct the clerk to read the title and schedule the second reading of the ordinance or any other action that council may desire.
Questions? I have a question. How does our, or this proposed ordinance stack up to other ordinances around the county and the state in terms of severity of punishment?
I don't have that data readily available. I do know that the city of La Mesa had been looking at our ordinance as a model ordinance in the past, but I'm not aware of whether or not they took action as it relates to that.
Graham, do you have any comments on that?
I don't have the data, but I do get it. I know we're ahead of most cities when it comes to this. I know the county recently adopted some tobacco regulations. I'm assuming we have amongst the most strict penalties, if not the strictest.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. Any more questions for Noah? Yeah, Graham.
How is that 120 or 60-day suspension enforced?
First, code compliance staff would just go out and meet with the operator, and then they're required to put up a signage or to block with like a curtain the tobacco. And so we go out there initially, confirm that it's not visible, and then we would check in periodically.
And a violation would result in?
It would just be another violation in accordance with the schedule.
Okay. More questions? Okay, thanks, Noah. I appreciate that. Angela, do we have any speaker cards for this item?
Yes, sir, we do. We have 12.
12.
The first one is Chuck K.
May I say that I'm going to bring the time of the speakers to 2 minutes. If you have something that you really need to say more than 2 minutes, it has been said before, let me know. We'll make an exception. But just to keep things moving along, I'd like to make it 2 minutes. So.
Chuck K.
Mr. Kay, welcome.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council, city staff. You know, I was here when this original issue came up and heard some really interesting testimony from the council about how the city of El Cajon has the strictest ordinance in the county. I would ask that you really look at the data and not make an emotional decision. We all agree that kids should not have access to tobacco. You know, like you, Mr. Kendrick, I have a loved one that passed away. I was with my mother when she was diagnosed with small cell lung cancer. I was with her 3 weeks later when she passed away. So I get it, but I think we need to have a balance of what's appropriate, and the suspension for the first offense seems a little draconian. So thank you.
Jeff Mansour.
Can I get some more time if you don't mind?
Go ahead and finish.
Yeah,
do your 2 minutes, and we'll give you a
So
little
I'm
more
Jeff
time.
Mansour. I'm representing a lot of these store owners, and I think this ordinance that's being passed is way too harsh. I don't think it's fair because we already have a lot of regulations. I don't know if you guys know, the state already banned all flavored tobacco just 2 years ago. So if you walk to any store right now, you won't see any flavors. And I understand these are all family business owners, and they all have the same goal, which is to reduce youth smoking. But now there's nothing in the store that attracts kids anymore. So the state already took care of that. And in January, they came up with a new law called the UTL. You guys should look it up. Unflavored tobacco list that says you can't sell anything in the store unless it comes from the state. And if they find anything in the store that's not on the list, they take it all and they give a fine up to $50 a piece. So there's already a lot of regulations on them. And the state oversees any city. Now I understand when you guys passed this 2-3 years ago, it was fine because there was flavored tobaccos everywhere. But what I mean is the state is already taking care of it. So I don't think it's fair. And plus, these decoys that that the city hires to go after these stores, they're decoys. I don't know if you guys know how it works, but what they do is they send a 20-and-a-half-year-old that's bald and has a big beard that looks like he's 40. And they try to go in there and try to get them to store owners to sell them these product. And that's why most of these stores, they get caught. But it's not really caught. These guys don't sell to small store, to youth, to kids. What happens is they make a mistake. Mistakes happen. Why? Because a lot of these people have employees that run the business for them. So imagine you have an employee that made a mistake. So you guys want to punish first offense right away, shut them down? I don't think you guys got elected to shut businesses down. So you got to be reasonable. We have to work together to how to educate it. And you see the numbers have gone down. But CASA, this organization, they have zero transparency. When I say zero, I found out someone gets a violation, they don't tell them till 2 months later. They can't even check who sold it to them. They can't even check who.
Mr. Mincer?
Yes.
Your time's up, but I do have a question.
Yes.
When you keep video of the transaction, are not you, but is the industry as a whole keeping video of these transactions?
Yeah, well, you mean yeah, they have a video, but the problem is when the decoy comes in, they don't send them a ticket till 2 months later.
And how long do you keep your video for?
I mean, your average is no more than a month, maybe 3 weeks, the max.
What do you have any idea as to why it takes so long, or have you brought that question up?
Yes.
With
So some of these business owners are currently suing CASA because they're suspending their licenses without any proof. And there's a store in Spring Valley that went and sued. They took it to the judge and they fought it. And the judge just tossed it out. So where's your proof? You're telling the store owner he sold something, and you're not telling him till 2 months later. Where's the transparency? How does he even know they have? All they have is a receipt. And a lot of these stores, they use they have machines that check ID. I mean, they have high technology, but they can't prove. The store owners don't know who sold it, which employee, because it's such a bad company that they hired that are going around these store owners. And then we have a couple of stores that you hear too also that fought it and won again. 2 of them won it. The only 2 people that fought it won it. All the other ones, they get scared. And here's another problem. When you have such a severe penalties like that, you get your first violation, your second violation is 3 months. Do you guys know what happens to a business when you tell them you can't sell a product for 3 months? I mean, you might as well just shut them down.
So I have a question for you, Mr. Mincer. I mean, I think we all in agreement that kids smoking is a bad thing, and we should discourage
100%, and we're with you, and we all fight that every day.
There's no real way to discourage that unless we have problems that happen, ramifications that happen to the owner. But what do you think would be a fair solution to this problem?
Well, I think the way you had it is fair. You know, first time they got it, because it works. I mean, we have to put some kind of rules, which I agree. You know, fines, give them some fines, and give them a reasonable suspension. But what we had before, I think, was already extreme, but now we want to make it even worse. It's crazy.
Are you familiar with the rules in the other municipalities?
Yeah, and most of them, they do monetary. You know, they do, 1,000, 5,000, 2,500, things like that will scare them, but not shutting down.
So your suggestion is to go back to the rules. Don't make a modification of the rules. Keep them the way that they were. Yeah. But how does that stack up to, say, the city of San Diego? Are those rules that you're championing?
These are the harshest. I've never seen. I mean.
So even those rules before this.
Before this is harsh.
Would be more harsh than the city of San Diego.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. And then not just that, even National City, they just recently passed something similar, and they were reasonable. They said, warning the first time, no money, no nothing. Second time, you get a violation of $2,500, and third time. But the whole thing we need to understand is the most 99% of stores, they don't sell to kids, but there's room for mistakes, and we have to understand that. Because the decoys they use, they're not reasonable. It's not just kids walking in the store and people selling. No. They're actors, they're deceivers, and you can easily fall into that trap. if you watch some of these, what they look like, I mean, they send women with a lot of makeup on her. She looks like she's 40, but they make a mistake. Even the ID, they give them an ID, they're 20 years, like let's say they went in there in November, in December they'll be 21.
But the machine should pick that up.
So, well, not every store has a machine, but machines, majority of them, they have machines now.
How much
So,
do the machines cost? Just I'm curious.
I'm not sure, but it's probably 5,000, something like that.
Since I asked you so many questions, I want to give everybody else a chance to ask questions. He seems to be an expert on this. Steve, yeah.
Is every store required to have those machines that verify age from an ID?
Not every store, but a lot of them have it already because I believe
I
it helps
understand.
with the
My
ABC.
question was, are they required?
No.
They're not required?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do they ensure that a person is indeed legal to purchase?
They check IDs.
Except for some people don't.
Right. So, and that was my point, that let's say you have an employee, right? Because you have to remember, many of these store owners are family owned. And the majority of them, they work 14, 15 hours a day in there. But sometimes, let's say they want to go on a vacation, once a year. So they bring a relative, a friend that would come and cover, or a part-time employee. But that part-time employee can make a mistake like this. I'm talking about an unintentional mistake. Where they would slip, they misread the card, right? Because it's so
Should the store
close.
owner be exempt from the law because they don't have a family member that's knowledgeable about the business?
No, but what I mean is to be fair about it. Come up with a solution of how together we can come up with a better solution. Maybe, like you said, require everybody a machine and get rid of all these penalties or something like
Do
that.
the existing regulations seem to create the desired result based on the data that you see?
It was looking good until the last item, but what my point is, what happened in that last item in the last 1 year, I believe is the problem is CASA. The company that we're hiring to go, they have no transparency. They need to be looked at and see if they're really doing their job, because all the people that fought them have won, and that's very scary. We should look into that, see what their data, how accurate it is, and if they really are doing their job properly. That's another thing we need to look at. So there's a lot of gray area that I think we can resolve, but not like this, not shutting down businesses. I think that is not okay.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, there's something I do need to correct for the record, because that was stated for the record. We actually, when someone appeals one of the decoys or one of the violations, it goes before an administrative law judge, and I don't believe the city, maybe one time we've ever lost, so that's not the case. That we've actually won and been able to prove that the decoy was operating in a fair way up to this point. So,
All right, Michelle.
Mr. Mansour, so let's just use you as an example. You are the store owner.
Yes.
You are responsible for the sales. You are responsible for following all the state, local, national laws, correct?
Correct.
And when you hire somebody, it's your responsibility to train people, correct?
Correct.
And if you get someone to take your place to run your store and they make a mistake, it's still your responsibility because that person made a mistake.
Right.
If you didn't train them, if you didn't tell them what they needed to do, the onus is not on the city to make sure that you train your employees. That is your responsibility to train the employees. If you hire someone who cannot check an ID and cannot figure out that they're 21 years old,
Yes.
why should that be the city's problem? Shouldn't that be your problem as a store owner?
100%.
Okay, then if you're not doing anything wrong and you haven't violated
Right.
and you haven't sold,
Right.
these wouldn't have any effect on your business, correct?
Correct.
Then what's the problem?
The problem is, if somebody made the first mistake and you're going to shut them down, I think is unreasonable.
We're not shutting you down. You're just,
Suspension.
it just says for that period of time.
Right, that's still shutting the business down.
But if your store, the problem I see with this is that you would rather pay the money and pay the fine than to actually have some sort of tangible slap on the wrist, so to speak, some tangible penalty for that. Because there's a lot of store owners that have a lot of money, and if they violate the law, they just pay it off. Okay, so I'll just pay that fine. No big deal. But that is not the point. The point is, it was sold, and if the employee cannot make that decision, then maybe they shouldn't be selling tobacco. And if it, and maybe the effort should be gone to the state to say, hey, you should mandate every store that sells tobacco to have these machines to verify identification. I can go in and yes, no one's going to question my ID, but if they ask me for ID, it's not a big deal. I understand that some kids that are not 21 look older, but that shouldn't be our problem. That is your responsibility, your employees, to make sure that they are old enough. And we've had store owners want to make agreements or want the laws to be for them, but you just pay money.
But it's
And
not
that's-
just money.
I understand that.
The second violation is, what was it before, Mr. Mitchell? What was the first?
60
Right.
days.
I mean, so first one is they're penalizing 2,500, correct? Before? And the second one is 60 days. Do you understand what happens to a business when you tell them you can't sell tobacco for 60 days?
No.
Okay. You're crippling the business.
Do they not sell anything else? Is tobacco the only thing they
No,
sell?
because let me tell you how it goes. When you go to a liquor store, it's like going to Vaughn's and saying, Vaughn's, you have category of meat and you have category of produce. It's like going to Vaughn's and say, you know what, you can't sell meat for 2 months, violation. You can only sell or you can only buy produce. That's how they go to hand. Because what do they sell? Most convenience stores, they sell liquor, beer, chips, snacks, candy, and tobacco. Those are 3 categories. You take one of them out, they don't function the same. They'll just go somewhere else and buy it.
Well, then my suggestion is they don't sell to minors.
I understand that. We're on the same page. That is their intention. They are trying to do that. But because there is a possibility of making a mistake, that the mistake is too harsh and it's unreasonable. That is the point that we want to make over here, that you just be more reasonable, just like the rest of the cities, you know, and that's the whole point. I don't want to...
I understand, and I'm just going to say this. I understand, you know, there are laws, and there are reasons for laws.
Yes.
If I go out and drink, and I create a DUI,
Yes.
I could say, oh, it was a mistake. Cut me some slack.
Yes,
It's the same
first
thing.
violation is not the same as second and third.
But you see what I'm saying? I broke the law driving while intoxicated.
Right.
It's not the same law, but it's the same premise. You break the law, these are the issues that we have with it, and this is the penalty for it.
Yes, I am with you 100%.
Steve, let's talk about the cost of equipment for a second. I would be surprised it's $5,000, but let's say it is. I would pay $5,000 for a piece of equipment to ensure that every tobacco transaction is in compliance, because it would go to a state database. $5,000 is much cheaper than lost income from a 60-day, 90-day, 120-day suspension. Why wouldn't you advocate to your group, guys, let's buy the $5,000 and there's no more mistakes?
They do.
Well,
They
you
do.
said most do,
Yeah,
not all.
yeah, some stores have it, and they still gave them, they said a violation, and they couldn't even look back and say who sold it.
Okay,
He's one of them is here.
Let's not
Yeah.
go there. I'm saying.
No, I agree with you. That's a solution.
The economics of
Yes,
this is,
yes.
why not buy a $5,000, I don't think it's that much, but why not buy that to just avoid the 60, 90, 120-day loss of tobacco sales?
You can, yes.
That would be
Amazing.
very good business decision.
Yes, yeah.
Let me ask the city manager a question. When we get this report of violations, do we have information such as the age, gender, description of the decoy?
Yeah, we do.
How soon after the event do we get that information?
It depends on when CASA collects all their data. They usually package it together. In this case, it was about 2 months. And beyond the description, we actually get a photo. So we get a photo of the decoy as well. So we have a sense of who they look like.
Is that public information or not?
It is public information.
So okay, I guess I need to learn more why CASA needs 2 months to get that information.
That's a big.
I would, counsel, because there are 4 administrative hearings pending that are coming up soon, and there's a good chance it will get into the operation of how it occurs. I would recommend the council not talk about that component because that's not actually on the agenda. What's on the agenda is the ordinance itself. If council wants to talk about the operation, we should set that at another meeting time. But I can answer general questions, but I wouldn't get into the details about whether you like it or don't like the process right now.
Okay.
Okay. Any more questions, Mr. Metzger? Thanks for answering so many questions.
I do have a question.
Gary has a question.
I don't understand why the stores don't just get the cash registers, and I think they're less than $500. The accessory where you just put in a driver's license, and it forces you to do that when you're selling tobacco because it knows the category of tobacco. It just seems like it would solve all the problems and not sell a product to some kid that kills half the owners, half the buyers.
I just want to clarify one thing. Graham, are you asking us not to get into this?
That part is different than asking us how the decoy system works. I think I wouldn't get into the conversations about how our contract with CASA and how that works.
I just want to check with our city attorney. We're not violating anything by having this discussion?
No, I think that the factual questions about their machines and can
Fine.
they buy machines, that all goes into council's decision to increase the penalties from what you already had.
Sounds good.
As opposed to getting into individual facts that may come up when they argue these things to the administrative hearing officer.
Would you just let us know if we're moving into dangerous territory? Thanks. Go ahead, Gary. I'm sorry.
My other question is, what were the percentages of stores that sold tobacco to minors in the last set of stings? Was it 13%?
Well, there was 13 total, and I believe there are about 100
Right.
licensees, so it's about 13%, yes.
So 13%. So, and how often do we do the stings?
We do a minimum of 1 year, but if someone is caught selling, then we will re-inspect them throughout the year.
So once a year we have enforcement, so 1 out of 365 days. So wouldn't it be prudent to assume that the other 364 days they're also out there selling tobacco to kids? I'm not a statistician, but
I wouldn't say that. I think I wouldn't say that. I think there's just too many unknowns to say that definitively.
But I think 13% is too high to sell something that's so dangerous to a child and then so addictive. I mean, I've seen multiple people die from tobacco-related disease, and it's not a pretty sight. I mean, they're gasping and gasping for air, and they close their eyes, and you think finally they're gone. Then they go, ah, with this look of fear in their eyes. I've been there. So I think it's really important that we protect our children from tobacco. It kills you just as dead as getting hit by a car, except there's a delay.
Okay, any more questions for Mr. Mansour? Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Next speaker is Hani Toma.
Good afternoon, everybody. I need more time, Mr. Mayor, a lot of time.
Okay, I tell you what, we'll let you do your 2 minutes, and then if the council wants to ask you some clarifying questions, you'll have your time to answer those at that point. Does that make sense? Okay, thank you.
In past 20-something years, I've been owner of a gas station called Superstar. I did get out of these 20 years, I believe there are maybe 7 tickets. And I do know all these tickets, there was nothing fair. The first one on all 3 locations I got, it was 10 months later they give me the citation where there was no video record to get over this. And the last city mayor where he mentioned about he lost one of the the city lost one of the ticket because, it was for my location where I did get evidence. Actually, I come over here. It was very nice for them to bring me over here. A judge, he was sitting in your place, Mr. Mayor, and he decided with the video, the deco, he didn't show it to my store, and to find me guilty, and I have to pay the fine. I did pay the fine, and I have to take him to the court to win that case, the one Mr. City Manager, he was talking about it. So the CASA, maybe Jeff, he did not explain. The CASA, first thing what they did teach the DECO people, they teach him to lie. So if somebody teach me here to lie, if I'm going to teach him to go to the store to lie, I'm going to come to the court, I'm going to lie. I'm going to come over here, you're going to tell me I swear, still I'm going to lie. So that's the first one they teach CASA. For sure, CASA now they have I did approve my attorney to spend $1 million to fight CASA because the one it was unreasonable ticketing to all these people just to close business down. What mean that CASA, without sending the DECO or employee, just get him a ticket?
Okay.
And
let me see if there's some questions for you. Any questions for Mr. Toma? Well, yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Do you have the verification machines?
I do.
Okay, perfect.
But still with that, the city look like they are against the business owner, that's wrong.
Let me ask you a question. Do you have locations outside of El Cajon in other cities?
I do have in La Mesa.
In La Mesa.
And I did have one in San Diego. I sold it.
But you have knowledge of San Diego. So if you're looking at La Mesa and San Diego, how would this new ordinance stack up in harshness compared to those other 2?
Very simple. It's not just that. The problem is the city attention with CASA, they just try to get a business owner. With all respect to Gary, his sister died from cancer. Okay, I understand. She tried to smoke. Who over here he doesn't want to see God? All of us, we want to see tomorrow God. But the only way to see God is to die. You can't be alive and see God. So she chose to smoke. Why I have to punish for that? Sometimes I smoke. Most of the time, I don't teach my kid, which is one of them is here. I don't teach him to smoke. But we never sell to tobacco to minor.
I want to get out of the philosophical and get back to how our ordinance is similar to other cities' ordinances. What I'm hearing is that this ordinance is on the screen right now is significantly more punitive than the La Mesas and San Diego's. Is that true?
Correct. City of El Cajon always the first one to do something, and the rest of the city they follow her. We want you to be normal, just normal city. Why you be the first one? Be the third one from all California. But why you guys want to do something? Yes, if you close the business for one day, tobacco could be fine. But few days, my business is a gas station. I don't care to make $1 for a pack of cigarettes. No, I don't want it really. But like Jeffrey said, if I don't sell tobacco in my gas station, people, they will not, maybe 20, 25%, they will not come to buy gas from me.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Is there any other questions, Mr. Toma? Yeah.
Do you use your own decoys to check your staff ever?
I do. We have a video. We watch it, but you know, the catch they got it, the city and the CASA there was, oh, don't give him violation for until few months, so the video is going to be destroyed, and they have no evidence.
No, I understand. My question is.
Yes, I do, sir.
Do you use your own decoys?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I need
That's
to know.
one thing. And also, I teach him. I want to teach him how to do. So first thing is when somebody come in and you don't ask him for ID, you tell him, are you over 21? He said, yes. Then you, can I see your ID? You say ID. That's the way to respect it. But then they did change it. They said, okay, when you go in front anybody and they ask you, you're over 21? Lie. You need to lie. And the worst thing from that is you get the ticket and you come over here, they bring their own judge. They will tell the judge what you need to do. So why all this mess? You just take the license out and forget it. That should be easier.
I think we're getting into like philosophical things, like the mayor said.
Sorry.
I was just trying to say, rather than wait for some external party, a government party to evaluate you, I would consider using my own decoys to check my own employees to make sure, boy, I have all my employees that I trust because I've gone through it privately with them. Bring on the public checker, and because I feel good that we've tested.
You're absolutely right. I agree with you. But what are you going to do with the employee where the deco doesn't show to your store and you get the ticket? You tell me, what do you want to do with them? That's the last one I went with the city manager. He did tell you, the last one case, I did win that case.
Mr. Toma, can I
Not
interrupt
here.
you?
Okay, that's all the question that I have.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Are we good, Jennifer? Okay. All right, good. Okay, any other questions? Thanks, Mr. Toma. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Atir Mati. Mr. Mati. Okay. Next speaker, Ramon Mansour.
Hello, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. My name is Ramon Mansour, and family owns multiple businesses here in the city. And kind of to reiterate a little bit of what they said, we are, as these business owners, we are 100%, with not getting access to, tobacco to kids. We're 1,000%. That's not how we make a living. All we're reiterating is that first penalty. And I don't think I've ever, I've been in wholesale for 30 years, my entire life, that the first penalty on tobacco, even alcohol, means an automatic suspension. That 5 days is not only a financial burden, of course you take a hit for that 5 days you're closed, and of course customers will think twice about going to that store, but it also ruins a reputation. And a lot of these are all family-owned businesses and retailers here in the city, a lot of them for over multiple decades. And reputation means a lot. And they will not risk their reputation for measly whatever to sell some tobacco. But the only thing we're saying, and of course there's some language barrier, I'm sure you see. All we're saying is that I haven't seen it. First violation, automatic 5-day penalty. Can you imagine a family business owner and you come in and you're a customer of this and you see a covered up, like shaming these retailers off of, they screwed up. Yes, they screwed up. A financial penalty, and then they already have the second one. It's like, hey, you do it again, it's 30 days. That's serious. But off of the first one, to shame them on a 5-day, like closing down a tobacco section and telling, and putting that and planting into their customers' eyes forever, is just harsh.
Just to clarify, so you're against the revision of the ordinance, but you're okay with the way the ordinance was before?
So the ordinance, which was already tough, but I think was always fair. It's tough, but it was always fair. Fair meaning, even if it's new business owner, hey, this is the rule. You screwed up, you got a penalty. Your second one, that's 30 days. 30 days suspension on tobacco. That's a serious penalty. And so it was already very, very strong, but I think respectable.
Let me see if there's any other questions.
We're not defending, of course, selling the tobacco to kids. It's just that shaming and that initial harsh penalty on first infraction.
Understood.
Pretty wild.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Zach Goro? Zach?
Hello, sir. Welcome.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for welcoming me. My name is Zach Goro. I've been working out of my family store for the past 22 years, and I'm here to discuss the kind of a tough regulation going on at tobacco retail stores. I totally agree for all the tobacco retail stores to not sell minors. We're just here to see if there is a way we can stick to the current regulation and punishment and not go through the harsher one. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Riyad Shamoun?
Mr. Shamoun, welcome.
My name is Riyad Shamoun. I've been in city of El Cajon as owner for almost 20 years. Just like, my friend says, please just give us break and help us for all these kind of regulation. And we never had, it's not like we sell to minor. There's no way. So please try to help us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rock Sliwa? Mr. Sliwa? Yasev Shamas?
Hello, welcome.
My name is Yasser Shamas. I'm a liquor store owner in El Cajon. I'm here with my friends about not to change the ordinance to the tough one. We are still okay with the old ordinance, and we're trying our best not to put ourselves in a violation or our businesses in a violation. One of the, about the cash register and the readers most of the stores, let's say 90%, maybe more, has those readers, and still the new cash registers, which is the more technology one, they have application for that. But still, some old or faded ID still the register cannot read it. Like faded from water, from sun, like landscaping guys. It happens, so doesn't read it, so we have to put it manually, the date of birth. And it could be mistakes happens. So yes, most of the stores has these readers, but still readers doesn't read all the IDs. And sometimes people, they don't have ID, or they have a work permit for from South American countries. Still the readers doesn't read it, the barcode doesn't scan, so we have to put it manually. Or they have passports, they have to put it manually, and the United States passport, it shows that the date, the month, the date, not like the United States that shows the date and the month for like the other countries. So sometimes it got confused with that, but we're still trying our best to not get in violations. Thank you.
Thank you.
The readers, do they read a swipe of the magnetic strip on the back? Do they read a barcode on the back? Or are they reading the photograph on the front?
No, the barcode in the back.
Okay, so they could have a faded everything, but...
Faded.
But
if anybody has an old ID here I can show him how faded it is.
So you're saying the barcode is faded?
Yeah, barcode faded because getting old. It's not expired, but getting old from sun, water. And some cash registers, we do scan system, scan gun to scan. Still doesn't read it, doesn't read it sometimes. Thank you.
Any more questions? All right, thanks, sir.
We have 6 more speakers. Next one is Steve Matia.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and City Council. My name is Steve Matia. I'm an attorney here in San Diego, and I am retained by several business owners for their licensing and then ultimately even fighting or enforcing issues. So I can say, you asked about other municipalities. The current ordinance is probably the strictest one, and definitely in the county, probably even the state. Most municipalities only have an ordinance for licensing, so you have to have the state license from the state of California, then you have to have the city one, and it's usually just pay the fees, you're licensed to sell, and then you're allowed to. City of San Diego's enforcement is very minimal when it comes to underage. I think they defer to the state to do that. Some of the other smaller municipalities do contract with CASA, similar to El Cajon, but I think El Cajon probably does it. Again, the consequence is the harshest. Most of the time, it's a fine, and then I think the 3rd or 4th violation is a suspension. So as the staff report showed, it looks like there was a downward trend in sales to minors since 2020, and then it looks like last year there was a little bit of a spike. So I think what we should consider, that you guys should consider, is how many stores kind of defeated the minor and didn't make the sale. I don't know if those statistics are available. I know the ABC for alcohol sales to minors, they keep track of those, and they even but they recognize those store owners that did the proper procedure, whether they checked it a visual check or they swiped it with the reader and they didn't make the sale. So I think that's important to note, that a lot of the store owners, they try their best. There are mistakes that happen, and consequences are definitely required. The current ordinance, as harsh as it is, as some have said, it is fair. It is a way to kind of keep store owners on their toes and teach them a lesson, but to kind of take away or their right to sell is definitely a higher step than other cities do. I think another thing to consider is more education for the store owners. Yes.
Let you, your time's up, but go ahead and finish your thought.
So other municipalities like the county and then the state, they provide education materials to store owners to kind of allow them to understand how to check ID, what to use, what to look for. And I don't think the city of El Cajon does that. Sort of a proactive approach to go to the store owners and say, are you trying all these things? It seems like the step is to go in, try to make the sale, see if there's a violation, and then ultimately the consequences fall in. So I think some sort of educational material that could be provided. The state has it. The county has it. The county uses the state's material. And from my experience with some of my clients that have got their licenses, they learn it and they don't get violations.
Let me see if there's any questions for you. Any questions? Well, thanks. I appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Alan Toma.
Mr. Toma, welcome.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here today because, obviously, about the ordinance. I think that currently it's a fair punishment what we have, but adding anything more will be completely detrimental to a business. 2 months without any sales of tobacco, even 3 months of not sales to any tobacco to any customers, will completely demolish the business. And I don't think it's fair or just that this punishment should cause a business to close down or shut down completely. Because if you lose some of these customers, there's no way you can keep up and keep your business open and support your family as well. So that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Joe Mansour.
Mr. Mansour, welcome.
Hi, good afternoon, Mayor and Councilor. My name is Joe Mansour. I've been operating an Arco gas station in El Cajon for the past 20 years. Never had a violation. I think the ordinance that we have in place right now they're good. But I think what we need to do is also look at the alternative. As much as Michelle wants to say, we are responsible for our employees that are operating, let's be realistic. An ID, an age is very simple. You can look at it, you're gonna know what the age is, whether you swipe it in the back or whether it is, people are gonna make a mistake. You're not gonna punish your child if they're driving, they get in a car accident, hit a red light because they weren't paying attention. And that's what typically happens. If an employee is not paying attention, he checks the ID, mistakens it because he's got a line, 5, 6 other people in line, he gets nervous, and now he's got a violation. It's harsh to punish them to say, okay, we're gonna not let you guys sell tobacco on there. I can't put up the pictures on the board, but we have our age on there that shows what the age is for the employees to check. Also have a scanner. And the biggest thing is dealing with customers is not all of them want to bring their ID. And then we don't sell to them. What you guys don't see being here is the fights we get with our own customers because they want to buy tobacco, a cigar. Most of these people here in El Cajon, let's be realistic, they're on drugs. They're tweakers, they're crackheads, they're homeless. We're the ones that deal with those people. We deal with them firsthand, and they come in there, they want to say, I'm 21, and yet we don't sell to them, and then we end up fighting with them. Even I have a sign that says, purchase of alcohol/tobacco product requires a physical ID. No, I don't remember you, and the other guy's not here. No ID, no sell, no way. Confused, read again. And I have it posted there at my store. And they come in, they get upset, they want to throw the money at you, they want their product. And I've had, just last week, where a customer came in for an alcohol, grabs the can, throws the money on the counter on my employee, takes the can and walks out. Says, I'm 21.
I'm up. Your time's up, but I have a quick question. Now, you're not going to hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
I know I look young, but if I came in and wanted to buy alcohol or a pack of cigarettes, would you ask me for an ID?
No.
Thank you for being honest.
Yeah, you look old enough, but we card everybody that comes in there.
So in your mind, what age, if somebody looks less than this age, you're not gonna card them. What age is that to you?
40.
Okay. Okay, Bill. Yeah, Gary. Oh, we're definitely carding. We're definitely carding you. So
Well, Mr. Mansour, I wanted to thank you for not selling to kids. So this proposed ordinance wouldn't even affect you because you don't sell to kids. You're doing it the right way.
But what you're not understanding is mistakes happen as far as you have a new employee that works for you. As much as Michelle wants to say we train them, we give them the education. But there's going to be mistakes that's going to happen. Like I said, when you see the pressure, standing here on the board, this is easy to say, oh, check everybody's ID. Sure, we check everybody's ID. But if he misreads the ID, even if he scans it, and if there's a line, 5, 6 other people, you see that guy is trying to steal something, you're trying to keep an eye on the other person, and then all of a sudden you're trying to get rid of that rush that you have in your store, then that problem is going to happen. And that's how they typically get you. If they're going to come in there with a decoy, like Jeff was saying, they send girls. I mean, right now you take a girl who's 14, you put makeup on her, she looks like she's 30, 40 years old. That's on there. And when those people come in and then you're checking everybody's ID, that employee, as much as we are responsible for them, we can only give them so much education for them to check people's ID and to learn how to do it. I mean, yes, we scan the back of the ID. It's either going to make the sale. And for example, have you seen a Mexican ID before?
No.
Try to read it. Try to read a Mexican ID. I guarantee you won't be able to. There are months and all backwards that are on there. And most of the time, we refuse those sales. If I can't read his ID because they have their months backwards that's on there, tell them, sorry, I can't sell to you.
For the city manager, no, it's a question about the decoy program. Never mind.
So I think what it should be in the ordinance, what they should imply to put in there to be more effective is not to punish the store owner, but the actual person that makes that sale. Because if they change it and say the person that sold the product.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir. We've got to stay away from changing the way we're going to do it and having a workshop on this. I mean, frankly, I think that at some point we may want to collaborate with your community to find a better way to deal with this.
Sure.
But The question tonight, I think, is whether or not we go with this new ordinance or with the previous ordinance is sufficient. And so I think that's kind of the two options that we're looking at right
Sure.
now.
So we stay with the current one. We move on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Did anybody else have any questions? Okay, thank you. We're good.
Donna Colbert.
Hello? Welcome.
Hello, good evening. I had planned not to speak tonight, but I do want to clarify some things. CASA's integrity and slander I don't want to tolerate. We were a witness for the County of San Diego unincorporated area, and the retailer edited a video, so the sale was upheld. That means they believed our decoys, but the county made some arrangements. So that's all I will say about that, which someone brought up. A couple things. The County of San Diego unincorporated areas, their first violation is a 30-day suspension. The second is 60 days, and the third is 90 days. So El Cajon does not have the strictest violation policy. In La Mesa, their second violation is a 60-day suspension. Their fine is a little bit lower for their first violation. I did want to mention, aside having a scanner, when you're under 21, we also have our, not to go too much into protocol, our decoys have to have a valid California ID. So when you're under 21, that is portrait, and when you're over 21, it's landscape. And when you turn 21, you get a new ID. So if you don't have a scanner, you can look at if it's up and down portrait style, that person is under 21, and if it's landscape, that person is over 21. And also, El Cajon's ordinance states that all IDs should be checked. That includes you, Mr. Wells. Yes.
He's
That's all I have
flattered.
to
I
say,
knew
but
it, I
I'm
knew
here to
it.
answer questions if you have any.
I have a question. Something that some of the people have brought up is that a decoy comes in the store. They don't hear about it for 2 months.
Sure.
2 months later, the video's gone. The employee doesn't remember. It doesn't seem like very good due process.
There is a reason for that, and I know Mr. Mitchell didn't want to go into protocol, but they're under 21. We want to protect our minors, and they have been yelled at, chased. Previous to my direction, when it was under Dana Stevens, they've had to have, law enforcement protection for some of our decoys who lived in El Cajon. So that is a strategy that we use with our natural protocol, and we do wait 60 days because we know that's typical for video footage. It's in order to protect our minors.
So it's 60 days, not 100. It's 2 months, so 60 days.
2 months
yeah.
is typical, yes. And in technology, some video coverage is getting longer. So, I mean, we just do our best to protect them because can get very intense sometimes.
Are there any more questions for the CASA representative? See, Gary has one.
Yeah, well, thank you for what you do. I think you're probably saving a lot of lives. Is there any problem with the stores keeping their videotapes for a couple months? It seemed like that would be a good idea if they're actually not selling to kids. I mean, is that so difficult?
I mean, technology is getting better, so some folks are having it longer than that, right? That was just, we set up our natural protocol, and that 60 days is typical from.
Is it too late to add that to our ordinance?
I'm not sure about.
That's not agendized, so.
Right. And definitely, I would not recommend adding anything tonight other than as presented.
All right, thank you.
We'll bring you back up at the end of the public comment. Any more questions for the CASA representative? Okay, thank you for coming. I appreciate your perspective.
Next speaker, Arkan Somo.
Before we have Arkan come up, let's have this gentleman come up from our Arkan is very similar.
Just to address your question about the camera system for having the 60 days. So a typical store will have 16 to 32 cameras that, so we have it record on motion to keep the days, limited, because if it records 24 hours, it's going to get up all the data. So we have a recording on motion. Usually you're going to get anywhere between 15 and 30 days, depending on the hard drive that you have on there. And if anything happens within 30 days, you can go back and watch it. But to extend it out to 60 days, you need, a typical system costs $5,000. To do something like that, you need about $7,000 to $10,000. And you need to upgrade your system. Most people are not going to upgrade their system for 10 years to put a new system in place.
Okay, so it's a cost issue.
Of course.
All right. Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying. Mr. Somo.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, and staff. My name is Cajon Somo. I represent the Neighborhood Market Association, and I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak before you tonight. I would like from the get-go to urge you to oppose these changes to this ordinance. And I have a few points, but I'm going to start with the most important, and if time allows me, I could address some of the issues that came up. Usually, municipalities like yours will see some problem in the community and they address it. You did it by enacting this ordinance. At that time was kind of over the top, but we accepted it, became the law. So let's look at the numbers. 2021, there was 20 violations. 2022, there was 15. That's 25% increase in compliance. 2023, 9 violations. That's almost 40% increase in compliance. 2024, only 5. That's over 40% increase in compliance. So what I like to ask the city council, what message are you giving to these family-owned businesses in your community as they're trying so hard to comply with the law that you enacted? The way you're doing it is saying, I don't care what you do. I don't care how much you invest in technology and try to be a good, responsible retailers. I think we should penalize you more. I think this is ludicrous. It is really. And to address the 5 people who violate, there is something called unintended mistakes we make. There's something in baseball says, who among us who bet 1,000? Nobody does. We all make mistakes. So the notion, even the one who sold to a minor did it intentionally, it is really delusional. No one that have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars to support their family and their kids want to make 50 cents on a pack of cigarette and jeopardize their license. Yes,
Sorry,
Mr. Mayor.
your time is up, but I do have a question
sir.
for you. You represent, how many stores do you represent?
We have 675 members,
Is
close
that
to
just
700.
in San Diego County or is that statewide?
Mainly in San Diego County, but we have them around the state as well.
I'd be curious to find out what you think would be fair in regards to this ordinance versus the one that's being replaced. And do you feel like the one that was before this was overly harsh, or do you think that was fair?
I already stated that. If I answer that, what is fair, that means I'm accepting the premise of these changes and these amendments. What I just laid out to you.
I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, but what I'm laying down, this is really madness. The message the city council is giving to these family-owned businesses is nothing but ludicrous. You really, instead of recognizing them that they're really trying so hard, okay? You're telling them, no, let me penalize you some more, from 36 to 48, as much as 150. Who does that? No other municipality have done that. Not especially when this community is trying their best to be in compliance. Very quickly about the video. When we started my family about 25, 30 years ago, we used to have VHS. Remember these things? One day, one for one day. Then technology came. I'm going to address Councilman Kendrick. Most, like Mr. Mansour said, it's about 2 weeks to maximum a month if you want to spend money. In my station, I just put a new system about 2 or 3 years ago, and I needed to cover about 3 to 4 months. Do you know how much I paid? Almost $11,000. because of the memory, terabyte. They're very expensive because you need to record all around. I want to ask you, how many small business in your city can afford over 10 grand? These are the questions you need to know. But what you also need to know, the Neighborhood Market Association keep working with industry to improve the checking of the ID. We just partnered with a nationwide organization called TrueAge. California is the first pilot, by the way. And the beauty about TrueAge, unlike other scanning system, the retailer does not capture anything. All he's going to know that you're over 21 or not. And it also detects fake IDs. So our industry, these family-owned businesses, they trying every hard to compliance. And do you know how you know it? By the numbers. You control the numbers, you're doing the compliance. So I think these family-owned businesses deserve a good recognition, not increasing penalties. I'm done. Thank you for listening. Any question?
Well, Mr. Soma, thank you. Let me see if there's any questions for you. No, I very much appreciate you coming.
Last speaker is Noel Becchetti.
Good afternoon again.
Welcome.
For the past 20 years, my job has taken me overseas. I've worked primarily in Asia and the Middle East in what we would call honor-shame cultures. And honor-shame cultures have a certain worldview about reputation and what shaming means. And as I was just sitting here listening, I'm wondering if there might be another layer to this conversation in that if the previous ordinance, that the first violation involved a monetary penalty, that's a real penalty, but that doesn't involve a public shaming. I heard speakers on their reputation, on people coming in and seeing that. So if we're looking at our long-term relationship with our business partners here in El Cajon and the possibility that many of them do come out of what we would call honor-shame cultures, that might influence how you would look at that. You'd want to, of course, check that out with our friends directly, but just from my experience and what I heard, that might be a pertinent piece of the conversation. Thank you.
Oh, by the way, I think that's a very interesting point that you're making.
Thank you.
Okay, is that the end of that? Okay, great. Then I'll bring it back to the City Council for discussion. Steve, would you like to start us off?
Sure. This is an easy call for me. This is a no-brainer. I think you have to show ID to purchase a restricted product. That's just the way it is. Everybody agrees that's good. What I heard from CASA is a decoy must present a valid California ID. And if it's under 21, it's in portrait, not landscape. I got to tell you guys, you've just been tipped off. If somebody comes in without a card, they're not a decoy. If somebody gives you a landscape ID, they're not a decoy. I'll tell you, they said it publicly, so I'm not outing anybody. A decoy is going to have a portrait-sized, valid photo that matches them. That's for legal reasons. That's it. That's the only kind of legal decoy they can use. So when I hear about decoys, well, they're 20 and a half, but they look 40 and bald. Guys, that's not a decoy. You should still card that person. You should comply with the law. So how many did it right? We know, can you go back to the slide that had the graph? 87 to 96%, because it was 5 out of 100 or 13 out of 100. I'm saying 100, it's like 95. So we know a lot of you do it right. That's great news. And we're not shutting down anybody's business with this ordinance. I would really encourage people to make that investment in readers if you don't have it. That's cheaper than being shut down for 60 days or something like that. However, the data shows our existing policy works. We had an anomaly in 2025. Hopefully we don't see that again in 2026. The existing policy works. I see no reason to make it tougher. Adding a 5-day suspension, that's just going to be expensive for us to enforce. It doesn't make sense. Increasing from 60 to 90 days, 120 to 150, increasing 36 to 48, I do find that's burdensome. I do think it is reasonable that the existing ordinance, I am not in favor of voting for the amended ordinance.
Anybody else want to say anything? Phil?
Well, I appreciate everybody's perspective. And, in reality, this should fall on the state for compliance, not small cities. But this is another unfunded, mandate from the state. So I just want to put that out there. We're asking businesses for perfection, and I don't know that that's ever going to be possible. I've ran a business. I've trained my employees. I make mistakes even though I'm a subject matter expert in my field. My employees make mistakes. If the government were to come in and say, on your first mistake, you're not able to make a living based off of a third of your income for 5 days, that would be extraordinarily stressful. And I think it puts an undue burden on businesses. I don't smoke. I've done it on occasion, cigars, but I wouldn't encourage anybody to smoke, to start it. But we're asking these businesses to be perfect, and that's not reasonable. I might entertain, a revision to the policy if the trend, is continuing to go up past where we were at before. But the trend seems to be working, as Councilman Goebel says. I can't in good conscience we're already heavy-handed. I can't, in good conscience, as a government agent, be unreasonably heavy-handed. So I'll be voting, if there is a motion, I'll be voting no on it to not move this forward.
Gary?
Bill, what's an acceptable level of sales of cigarettes to kids?
Yeah, an acceptable level of sales to anything outlawed is 0, and that's why it's against the law. It's against the law to sell, and I support that law, that state law, and our stance on that.
So you think that the penalties we have right now are working?
Yeah, they are. Our policies right now, to the best of the ability, better than any other city, yeah, they are working. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Somebody like to make a motion?
I doubt the city of San Diego has 95% compliance. They brought up the city of San Diego before. So I think the existing ordinance is working. I don't see a reason to need to change it. I will make a motion that we keep the existing ordinance as is.
Is there a second on this?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Please vote.
Motion carries by a 4-1 vote with Councilmember Kendrick voting no.
Okay, thank you, Noah. Appreciate that. We have a second reading and adoption of ordinances to amend El Cajon Municipal Code for specific Plan 182 and Title 17. Staff, please tell us about this.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, Noah Alvey with Development Services.
Hi, Noah.
This is the second ordinance reading for amending Title 17 of the Municipal Code. That's our annual omnibus zoning update with miscellaneous updates that we talked about at the previous meeting. And then the other updates are to specific Plan 182. That's where we're going to be allocating authority to the city manager or designee for events in the downtown area.
Thanks. Are there any speaker cards for this, Angela?
No speaker card, sir.
Would you be willing to read the title then, please?
My pleasure. An ordinance approving an amendment to specific plan number 182 for lighting and events on city property and in rights of way. The second title, an ordinance approving an amendment to Title 17 of the El Cajon Municipal Code, zoning code for housing-related updates, changes in state law, and other non-substantive changes to improve clarity and consistency.
Okay. Now, do we need to make a second motion that the city council conduct the second reading by title only, waiving further reading and adopt the two ordinances? I'll make that as a motion then.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of those present.
Angela, would you then recite the title for both ordinances for this item?
Sir, that was the titles were read, and you
We're good.
you voted on.
Okay. So we don't need any more motions, or, okay, great. There are no second sessions on today's agenda. This brings us to the adjournment, the adjourned regular joint meeting of the El Cajon City Council, El Cajon Housing Authority, successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency, held this 10th day of February 2026, is adjourned till Tuesday, February 24th, 2026 at 3 o'clock p.m. Thank you.